news, everyone.
I'm back, baby.
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm great. Everybody else sucks.
Oh,
no. It's every nightmare I've ever had.
Excuse me?
It's time to check the link.
Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't matter because none of this has anything to do with the show.
You know what? You just made the list.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Really? No.
What's up, you ducks? I'm laughing at the intro. There's so many parts in there that could correlate to today's show. This is good. It's all in football. Week 12 recap with myself and Chris Meaney live on BetsTV. You can watch on BetsTV. You can watch on the YouTube channel. If you're watching Canada, welcome back. After you had the day off, no Wednesday, well, other things were going on, but hopefully everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're taking advantage of the Black Fridays deal. By the way, you can go to BetsTV, FTN, 20% off, all in. But The Athletic, if you want to pay $1 a month, and you want to pay $1 a month for 12 months, so that's $12 for an entire year, and then you can yell at me in the comments as much as you want. Go over there, pick on any of my articles. The Black Friday deal will be there for new subscribers only, sorry. But yeah, go check it out. It's still going. I think now technically it's Cyber Monday. But Chris, my screaming Meaney, like this is Meeseeks, the screaming Meeseeks shirt. This is so many levels because you're not feeling well. I'm excited to see if you mess up being on meds. This also because I wore the hat on purpose for all the screaming Mets fans who hate me for the fact that I tried to bring realism into the fact of their lives. And Max Scherzer's probably just using them for what they are using them for, is for more money elsewhere. And they signed 3 33-year-olds and thinks everything's going to be different this time. But then I'm also screaming because it's my birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jakey. Did Nano give you a text this morning? Happy birthday, Jakey.
I think actually, was that his exact text? It might.
It may have been with like a bunch of exclamation marks.
It
yes.
legitimately is happy birthday, Jakey. Yes. Exclamation. It's like 18
Yes.
Y's and 4 exclamation points. So there you go.
Awesome.
I appreciate
love
that
it.
You're not singing it to me. Is there anything weirder than sitting there watching people sing the happy birthday song to you? That's gotta be the weirdest.
It gets a little.
I told my family,
awkward.
I was like, just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't do it. It's a little awkward. I probably should do it anyways. My voice would probably cut out a couple times.
No.
But yes, dude, happy birthday to you, man. I hope you have a fantastic day. It's great to chop it up with you today on the Monday. And we're doing a Cyber Monday at FTN as well, 33% off all packages. So it's a giving day, dude.
Is it automatically? So don't use code all in this week. So there you go.
Yeah.
Is it 33%? Do you have to put a code in, or is it just automatically?
Cyber Monday. That's
is the code.
Yeah.
There you go. I was just trying to make it clear for everybody out there. You know what else this is screaming about? How disgusting this fantasy football weekend was. And this is just like, man, especially the quarterback play. I don't even know where to start. There's so many terrible.
So brutal, man. Like some of the throws. There was a moment. I know you're watching all the games together. You're not together, but you're watching them all like together. They're all there. I'm already screwing up off the top. And I'm watching them all, and I swear there was like 4 plays in a minute span where it was like pick six, overthrown, brutal. Should have been a pick six. Just it was piss poor quarterback play across the board. But man, like I wanted to kind of start with Leonard Fournette. Like last week we talked about going up against Taylor in leagues, and now I went up against Fournette in a bunch of leagues. That guy had more touchdowns yesterday than he had heading into the week.
Before you get to that, I just want to point out the fact that Trevor Lawrence right now is QB 9. This is what the quarterbacks were this week.
For the week?
228 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He is QB 9. Behind him is Joe Burrow. And then at 11 is Teddy Bridgewater with his 129 yards and a touchdown because he ran for one. And QB 12 for the week so far, Chris Meaney, is Andy Dalton. That's what we got going on this week. At least the top 4. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford are pretty locked in. Mac Jones checked it at 5. This was a miserable week for quarterbacks. The funny thing is it didn't affect a lot of the scoring. Like, so there were some wide receivers in that wide receiver 2 or 3 range that disappointed, but overall, like there was a lot of people that still hit. You talked about Leonard Fournette at running back. By the way, Rob Gronkowski. That is the weakest nickname you've ever given anybody. Did you see his little Instagram video where he's like, I got a new nickname. It's not Lombardi Lenny anymore. It's Fournette. Like, that's his last
that. Well, that's classic Gronk, right? You expect Gronk to come up with anything better than that? Like he's, you know what I mean? He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. We'll be honest about Gronk, but I love the guy.
That
but
commercial plays into it too. Like, did you they?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sign that. I was
but
like, hey,
Rob
I have to act
Gronkowski.
yeah, I'm special. Yeah, but so
Exactly.
Leonard Fournette. If your trade deadline hasn't passed, obviously, but what's your takeaway from that? This is another fluke game, really, right? I mean, we don't expect Jonathan Taylor to have 5. We don't expect Leonard Fournette to have 4. But if you look at the Buccaneers schedule, playoff winner, top 10 running back down the stretch.
Oh man, absolutely. Like here to date, he's RB6. Like that's phenomenal, man. A lot of people are drafting Ronald Jones over this guy, right? Like Ronald Jones.
Right.
Knowing
okay, well,
what.
Let me ask you that.
What Fournette gave them in the playoffs, too, which is huge. And also, on top of it, Jake, what he's doing through the air, right? Nobody expected this. He's got 51 catches, man.
Well, so that's what I was going to ask you is there anything we can learn from this? Because to take us back to the beginning of the season, the reason Fournette wasn't going in the first 4 rounds, the reason Leonard Fournette was sometimes being drafted after Ronald Jones, depending on who's drafting, the reason he was is because, one, we got Bruce Arians'd the entire year last year, back and forth and back and forth. As soon as Ronald Jones had a good game and you trusted him, it was back to Leonard. And then when Leonard Fournette fumbles at the beginning, never sees the field again. And then it's back and forth and back and forth. So we dealt with that. We did see the playoff run. I guess there's really 2 outcomes here, Chris. Is it one, we just had to find out by the proof on the field is like because we dealt with it last year, or is the second part we didn't value what he did down the stretch enough, and that was the tell sign?
Yeah, I think it is a little bit of both. I think, we didn't value what he did towards the end of the season, but it was the tell sign, right? Because he was awesome. He was fantastic. That's why he had the playoff Lenny nickname. He was so good. But, I mean, it could have went a couple different ways to start the season. It was typical Bruce Arians. If you remember against the Cowboys, it was Ronald Jones who was out there who had a couple mistakes. I think he had a fumble. He dropped. He tipped a pass. Yeah, he scored yesterday. They should have just gave it to Lenny to have 5 touchdowns, right? I was like thinking to myself, why not just give it to Fournette at the 1? All right, you want to have Ronald Jones get sprinkled in there. But yeah, at the start of the season, if you look at the game log, I mean, Fournette wasn't that great. 9 for 32, 11 for 52. How about the Rams? 4 for 8. And then he just kind of turned it on after that moment, week 4 against the Pats. I mean, yesterday was basically one of the toughest matchups on paper. The Colts had given up the fewest fantasy points to running backs. They had stopped the run against a lot of really good running backs this season. And Fournette, they just kept giving it to him and giving it to him and giving it to him. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if your trade season is open. I mean, you're not getting this guy. He's got some tough matchups ahead, but I'd still trust him just because the Bucs offense is so good. You get those goal line touches.
Right. I would look at this. I would look at values of guys who could potentially push aside the other, because the similar situation was James Conner and Chase Edmonds. And until Chase Edmonds got hurt, that situation wasn't changing. They were splitting down the middle. And really, I mean, I'm looking down the list here right now, what we had for this season. The only other one that kind of comes into this conversation who's top 20 on the year, who dealt with decreased, I'm talking about draft capital behind it, like 6th, 7th, 8th round, was the Bucs guys, the fact that Edmonds was going in front of James Conner, and then Melvin Gordon, who hasn't gone away, despite the fact that a lot of people, including myself, said hopefully by week 8, Javonte Williams would be the thing, but Melvin Gordon's not stopping. But those are 3 out of the dead zone of misery of the Mike Davises of the world, and just go back to the draft costs and a lot of like people chasing Zach Moss and just all the other ones that are in that conversation. So they're not always going to hit, but what we're looking for here is at least get it down to a 50-50 opportunity for yourself. And if you're going for the 50-50 opportunity yourself, go off the proven value. Because again, James Conner was touchdown reliant. Chase Edmonds was a better fantasy value until that happened. So who was performing better last year than James Conner?
I'm just looking at that mid-30s range on NFFC and drafts that took place from, August 1st to September 1st, and Fournette was RB36. RB36, like decent range in there, Damian Harris, highs and lows, Melvin Gordon you just alluded to, A.J. Dillon, who's kind of popped off lately, Zach Moss, obviously a bust, Gus Edwards went down, Kenyon Drake, James Conner's another good one in that range. So there were some good ones in that, what do you call that, ADP 100? Yikes, that's good value.
before we get to AJ Dillon, let's finish off this game real quick. By the way, thank you for all the happy birthdays. I really don't care that much. Once you get older, and people are like, what are you doing for your birthday? Like, Nando asked me that. He's like, what are you doing for your birthday? I was like, we had our family dinner on Saturdays. And I'm like, go out party. I bought myself a TV. There, like, I buy my own present. So there you go. Whoop-de-doo.
Nice. Awesome. Watch
if you had to release one in PPR, Davonte Smith or Mike Williams, play in a bigger league.
Holy crap.
Davonte Smith, I guess. Which would you drop? I would drop... You know what? Given the schedules, I would drop Mike Williams, and I don't want to drop Mike Williams, but I would.
I know.
Eagles schedule is just gravy.
Yesterday was crazy that they just kept targeting Jalen Reagor, but the schedule is really good for Davonte Smith. Yeah, the Jets this week, the Giants again, Washington twice. I'd keep him. Man,
Jets,
tough. Those are tough, man. When you're in those small leagues like that, Jake, I play in a small league like that with just like 8 buddies. It's very challenging because the waiver wire is always stacked, and you really do have to make those tough calls.
And if you're watching shows like this, your bench is stacked, and then you're deciding between those kind of players to start, and you always end up picking the wrong one anyway. And then you get beat by some random person starting Leonard Fournette. Jiggles, 7:10 a.m. I'm not waking up for any show, so I definitely appreciate that.
7:10.
So,
West
yeah.
Coast.
The Tampa Bay pass offense, we're not worried about that. Just one game, just game script. Everything was working right in the running game. But Antonio Brown potentially coming back, cluster things up. Any thoughts there before we move on from this? Or just...
Yeah, not really. It would be clustered. Yeah, I mean, Gronk's had a couple decent games in a row without AB, so that's solid. Godwin didn't have anything special. But yeah, I mean, it was just credit to the Colts defense. I know they gave up a lot of points yesterday, but I thought they played pretty good against Tom Brady. They forced him to a couple turnovers.
Credit to half their defense. I was gonna say,
half their defense. They couldn't stop Fournette. A couple bonehead penalties, but yeah, set them up.
So Michael Pittman bounced back to a degree. It wasn't a top 15, maybe even top 20 once the dust settles on all the scores. But it was a decent game. But T.Y. Hilton found the end zone. Is there some upside for Carson Wentz in those two wide receivers passing game down the stretch as well?
Yeah, maybe Ty. The fact is, like, he played a lot, right? So that was huge. That touchdown was a ballsy call by Frank Reich. I think it was like 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and great play there. I don't have a lot of faith in Ty. Texans this week, though, right? Texans this week. He lights up the Texans. He always does.
So the funny thing is man, there was 2 things I wanted to get to. You know what? We're talking Texans. I hate that this isn't the second one. This isn't even the most important. I mean, we need to talk Dalvin Cook, but you're kind of like, I'm trying to follow the path of where you're taking this show, Chris. Like you're trying to weave through your mental mind of being on medicine here. But so I was going to say the thing about Houston. It's not Houston because my question for Houston was anyone outside of Brandon Cooks because the backfield, like there's nothing there, right? We are legitimately, there's nothing. Tyrod Taylor, if you need a safe floor spot, start. But outside of that, the question I have is on the Jets side because of what you just said. You said Houston. Everybody faces Houston. Everybody does well against Houston, unless your name is Zach Wilson. So, no, I know you're chuckling, but I'm saying this for this reason. Elijah Moore with no Corey Davis, quiet-ish day for, what was it, 4 for 40-something? Didn't do much. James Crowder didn't do much. Like, the entire passing game didn't do much because of Zach Wilson. It was the freaking Houston defense. You only scored, 17 points against the Houston defense. Is Zach Wilson ruining Jamison Crowder and Elijah Moore, and if Corey Davis is back for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's tough to really trust this Jets offense. The same thing when I watch the Jags, man. Like, he just really does look like a rookie quarterback, right? Yeah, it's tough. They tried to do what they could with Elijah towards the end of the game, like some end arounds and stuff like that. But yeah, 8 targets. At least he led the way. But 4 for 8 for 46 yards is clearly nowhere close to what he had been doing the previous 3 weeks with other quarterbacks under center for New York. So it is tough. You got the Eagles this week, the Saints to follow. I mean, I still roll him out there, but I wouldn't roll the dice on Jamison Crowder anymore. He's a guy that I'd sometimes typically, I mean, we're on FTN bets here. This is a guy that I usually take at plus money 3.5 grabs over the past few years, no matter who the quarterback was. But I won't be doing it with Zach Wilson.
1 for 5 yesterday.
Non-factor.
Are you doing the Tevin Coleman thing while Michael Carter is out, or is I know you're not, and nobody out there, just to be clear, nobody go grab Austin Walter as the clear lead in this backfield because he's not the clear lead. He could get some more. He could start getting a split, but now it's starting to look like the Houston Texans backfield where all 3 of them could be involved, but Tevin Coleman, 16 carries. Are you doing anything with that, or the Zach Wilson destroying the entire offense is just, who cares?
Yeah, I think it's kind of who cares, but I mean, I'm in some situations where I had to start David Johnson or Rex Burkhead, right? I mean, now we're going to talk about a couple running backs who are down, like, so sure, if you need a body, I mean, 16 carries it's nothing to ignore, and he also had 3 targets. He caught 2.
I mean, we can ignore the 12 carries of Rex Burkhead after his 18 carries got him to 2.2 yards per carry.
Yeah, for 40 yards the week before.
You can't ignore. There is, like what I said, volume is king, but not every volume is created equally. Like, you could be the king.
But sometimes you just have to start a guy. Like, you know what I mean? You just have to start a dude. Like, what do you get? 6.9 points.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, even though he outscored Ty Johnson, I still, results aside, would still have started Ty Johnson as I had him because I would just chase the upside. The same thing with Rex Burkhead. I would just chase David Johnson and hopefully he catches a couple of them, falls into the end zone. Because
this week you'd still go with Ty, knowing that Tevin had 19 opportunities.
Oh, I would just stay the living hell away if possible.
Yeah,
I was
saying
saying the floor thing. You know, volume is king, but you can be the king of Poop Island. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like, you don't want to be that king. Like, honestly, let's be honest. Yeah. So let's get away from this game. Let's move on from this one. This is gross. But actually, know what? You know what? I'm going to answer Alec B's question. Are you still auto starting Cooks? No, honestly, because volume is king, but might not even see the volume because it wasn't that high. He did have the touchdown, but who does he get this week, Chris? Your boy, Darius Slay.
Yeah.
He is not an auto start. I love some Brandon Cooks. Everybody knows that, but this is not an auto start week from Brandon Cooks. He might see 3 targets, and he might not catch any of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, maybe I got the schedule wrong because he actually has the Colts this week. Cooks.
Does he have the Colts? I thought he had the Eagles.
No, Jets.
No, you're right.
Jets,
He does have the Colts.
Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm in
so
the
would you
Colts
start him in that spot? Maybe you are. But you're right. Like, it's kind of with Taylor. Yeah. Wide receiver 3, flex. I mean, 5 grabs the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, the Jets get you. So we're not starting Elijah Moore or Corey Davis or anybody against your Eagles this week. So let's get to Dalvin Cook. This is a waiver show kind of topic, obviously, the Alexander Madison side of the ball. But I wanted to say this for one thing, Chris, and I think you'll agree with me. Actually, I know. We've been doing shows for too long. I know you're going to agree with me. For everybody out there, stop trying to stash Philip Lindsay. At this point, your trade deadline probably passed. So, no, it's like what should be on your bench right now is instead of Philip Lindsay on your bench, instead of Ty Johnson, and everybody knows I love Ty Johnson, instead of Rex Burkhead, I'm stashing Jarrett Patterson. I'm stashing Samaje Perine. I'm stashing Devontae Booker if people dropped Alexander. Drop everybody you possibly can for the next person up. We're looking at potentially Amir Abdullah being a popular waiver grab, depending on what's going on with Christian McCaffrey's ankle. Your bench should not be fill-ins at this point. Your bench should be potential breakouts if something happens. Khalil Herbert, another good one. I saw a ton of people drop Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've been talking about this for years. You're right. Next man up sort of deal is something that you talk about at The Athletic. I had to drop Chuba Hubbard in your flex league, and it pained me to do it, but I needed a tight end. I needed to play somebody. He's on the back
half of that split, at least of what we've seen for the past couple games. This is the back half now. Abdullah's leapfrogged him.
He has leapfrogged him, but still, it does still pain me to drop a guy that could fall into almost a bell cow role. But you're right, Amir Abdullah has kind of leapfrogged him over the past couple weeks.
Don't drop Darrell Williams. Don't drop Jeff Wilson. Don't drop these guys.
No. Because now it's playoff time. It's basically playoff time. We're heading into week 13. I know playoffs start week 15, but it is playoff time. You don't want to be rushing to the waiver wire. You want to have everything secured, and it doesn't have to be your handcuff. It could be other guys' handcuffs too. You just want to have that next man up that could be the difference maker. And a lot of these guys that you just mentioned, they certainly could be the difference maker. I mean, if Dalvin Cook misses 3 or 4 weeks here, you got Madison on your squad? You kidding me? Like, you're good to go.
You're rolling in the what is that Adele song? Rolling in the deep or something like that? Or I don't even know what it is. I mean, look, DeAndre Swift, we're gonna have to get to him. Hurt too, potentially. We don't know. We still have to wait to find out on his injury. That was back on Thanksgiving. This feels like 2 weeks ago.
I know. Waller too, right? There's some big injuries.
Yeah. On the other side of this game, before we move on, I posted the John Wick gif as I'm thinking I'm back for Elijah Mitchell. That felt, man, if anybody remembers Spider-Man, I think it was Spider-Man 2, right? When Vindicated came on at the credits, because I remember at the time I was working as a pro with a radio station, and we always knew when Spider-Man was letting out of the theaters because we got like 10 calls in a row of can you play Vindicated? It's just so anyway, Vindicated, it feels so good because Elijah Mitchell is back. Here's the thing, Chris. I admittedly had him as a low-end RB2 because this is the frustrating side of it. All the reports, all the beat writers, which is all we can go off of. We're not there. We're not the coaches. We can't see. But all of them were saying the same thing. Struggling to catch, period. Like not even making receptions in practice. And carrying the ball in the one hand most of the time. And then he comes out catching balls, looking fine, nothing stopping him. But I bring that up to say is, yeah, that was frustrating. Hopefully you started him if you were able to. But Elijah Mitchell going forward, people should, right, if there was any remaining smidge of a Shanahanigans concern, it should be gone now, right? Like, it's completely gone now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, this guy, as much as we've been frustrated over him over the past few years or with him, Elijah Mitchell, man, when he's playing, he's good to go. 49 snaps, Jeff Wilson 10, 27 carries, like 27 carries. He had 6 targets. I undersold him too. I had him as RB19, so like a low-end RB2 with you. But man, when this guy plays, when he plays, I mean, that's back-to-back games for him with 27 carries. 27 carries, it's crazy. His rushing prop was at 64.5. That's one that I did hit over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, he's a baller. San Fran looks really, really good, Jake. They look really good, and I was hard on them. I was hard on them before the season started. I was hard on them at the first few weeks. I thought they were overrated. I was picking at Shanahan. Thought he was completely clueless as well. Clearly, he's not. He's great at the run game. But Brandon Ayuk is sprinkled in. What they're doing with Deebo Samuel is pretty phenomenal as well.
I mean, looking in hindsight, the Brandon Ayuk part about him not being what he wanted to see from him being, can we say he was wrong about that?
Absolutely.
Like, I think we were all wrong to question him.
Yeah, I for sure. And I guess, like, looking back at that, he clearly wasn't 100%, right? The hamstring popped up towards the end of, preseason. And then, like, the first couple weeks, all he was really doing was returning punts. But, man, like, what he did towards the end of last season, like, he had an upside. He had a ceiling. He was really good.
Right.
There just wasn't it was conflicting because there wasn't a lot of people that were healthy. Like, Deebo wasn't healthy. Kittle wasn't healthy. The offense was a mess.
Right.
Like, there was a lot of injuries, but I'm telling you right now, San Fran is a team that you don't want to play. You don't want to play down the stretch here into the playoffs. They got some pretty easy games coming up too. Man,
that was the one spot about
right now they're in
San
a playoff
Francisco
spot
that I got right. I mean, I did get that part. I said that you wouldn't see Trey Lance likely until the end of the season because San Francisco is a legit playoff contender, and that they're not going to switch.
Take
to
the
him
L
if
on
they're
that.
In the playoff contender. Yeah. So, I wasn't even doing that for you.
I'll take it. I mean, I have no problem taking it. I thought this guy would start. Partly because I thought San Fran was overrated, and I thought that they would be done. But man, the offense is looking good. The defense is playing good. This is a good looking football team right now.
All right, so let's jump back real quick. We'll do Thanksgiving as a quick hitter because there's probably been a lot of coverage of it. But Chicago, Detroit, there's not much to talk about on the Chicago side of things. I mean, Andy Dalton, but nobody's going out to grab Andy Dalton. Darnell Mooney was Darnell Mooney. David Montgomery, a little bit of quiet game for what we wanted from David Montgomery. But the biggest news is on the Detroit side, and it's twofold. One is DeAndre Swift hurt, as I mentioned. We don't know what's going on yet. But more interestingly, obviously Jamal Williams, and go grab Jamar Jefferson too if Swift misses time because Jamal Williams gets banged up multiple times himself. But the Josh Reynolds, are you putting anything in any of that game? Because Josh Reynolds, with the whole the narrative was Josh Reynolds is signing with somebody who's comfortable with Jared Goff, and Goff likes him. In the first game, he wasn't even out there. The second game, very little use, but popped off on Thanksgiving. Josh Reynolds, if you need wide receiver help, how interesting. How much are you putting into that against the Bears defense?
Probably not a whole lot, to be honest. I mean, there's definitely some familiarity with them or with
that was
each
my
other,
boy.
right?
I had so much Josh
was
Reynolds
your boy.
before the the Titans went out and he was one of the first signings, and then they bring in Julio Jones. Like, oh man, you just killed all my Josh Reynolds share. So I'm not looking at this with clear mind.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have some best ball Josh Reynolds and some shares of him, and when they first signed him as well. I don't know though. Like, I guess we just got the ceiling game from him, right? He had the touchdown, 70 yards, 5 targets, 3 grabs, but it's still Detroit. I don't feel like there's a high ceiling. We're here into week 13. Like, how desperate are you that you're rolling out Josh Reynolds? I mean, I pick him up as a spec ad potentially, but that's right. About it.
Then let's get to the biggest news from Thanksgiving. Matt Breida. I'm kidding, but we are going to talk Matt.
Well, he's definitely the best back in Buffalo.
I'm saving the best. I'm saving the best one for last. Thanksgiving, but Matt Breida. Look, Matt Breida, here's the interesting thing, is I had him in a DFS lineup, and I was getting so frustrated because he ran the wrong way on a screen, and then was gone.
Saw that.
It was like not even seeing on the field. It was so frustrating. But he got back on the field late, and he got back on the field and got the touchdown late, which is like, yay. But how yay should we be, really, Chris? Because this is still the Bills' backfield. This is still the Bills' backfield we're avoiding for Singletary and Moss. It's always Josh Allen that ruins this backfield anyway for fantasy purposes. But they inactivated. Can you say that? Inactivated? They deactivated?
You just did. Yeah.
I like inactivated. We're making that a word.
It's your day. You can do what you want.
Healthy inactivated Zach Moss. And it was Breida and it was Singletary. Again, so do you take Breida now potentially being the lead and value, or is this fool's gold? Is this insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, like the Mets, and expecting different results?
Tino's having fun with that Mets chirp. I think it's fool's gold. Singletary still had double-digit carries. He still led the way. And you know me, I'm looking at the schedule, especially this time of the year. New England, Tampa, Carolina, New England.
They don't have a good schedule.
Those are 4 very good defenses, very good run defenses as well. No chance I'm rolling out Breida. But I mean, this guy, again, he should be rostered. He shouldn't be hanging around waiver wires. I've seen 23%. And what a brutal year for Zach Moss and all Zach Moss truthers, man. Holy crap. You were on this from day one, buddy. I get it. You should pat yourself on the back when he was drafted right away. I mean, you talked about it. And this is a guy who, man, I wish I could rewind. I was offered a second-round pick in a 16-team dynasty league, which would have been pick number 26. And I thought, nah, I don't want that. I'd rather have Zach Moss. I think I'd rather have pick 26 than Zach Moss in a rookie draft next year.
I would too. I would too. I say this, though, you might want Zach Moss over the Saints leading running back, because this is an example where volume, again, isn't always king when you talk about talent levels. Tony Jones, 16 for 27, also has a factor to do with facing the Bills defense, but the leading receiver in that game, 3 for 47 for little Jordan Humphrey, who's not little, by the way. Traquan Smith, 4 for 31. He was wide receiver 19 the 4 weeks before this game. Ty Montgomery, Spinklet. Here's the question I have for you.
Nobody.
Unless Alvin Kamara or Mark Ingram plays, there is legitimately nobody you care about on this team, correct?
Yeah, correct. Nobody at all. Okay. Quarterback, wide receivers, tight ends, nobody. Saints are done.
Then let me ask you if you care about this. The news that Zeke might get rest after that game, and the fact that because we've seen Tony Pollard, and we've seen Tony Pollard at times look better than Zeke. A lot of Tony Pollard fans were frustrated when Zeke came in and took that touchdown. I was like, thanks for doing the work, buddy. Here I come. But legitimately, if your trade deadline hasn't passed, are you going to try and go get Zeke? Because people are panicking and they're thinking Tony Pollard, if he gets a game to himself, maybe Zeke comes back as the back half of a 60-40 split. Or basically, what's your takeaway from this news?
I think it's, I think if you own Zeke, it's tough. Because if you own Zeke and you're not in a playoff spot, you're pretty ticked. You're like, oh my goodness, I need this guy. But I mean, if you're comfortably in a playoff spot and you hear the news that Zeke may miss this week against the Saints, next week against Washington, then you get him back for, I don't know, the Giants and Washington into the playoffs. I mean, I'd be okay with that. I'd be like, maybe you get a fresher Zeke.
He's missing the worst matchup with the Saints.
Yeah, he's missing the worst matchup. All he's done in the past 2 weeks is 9 for 32, 9 for 25, like 9 points, 13 points. Hasn't done you a whole lot. So, I mean, I think depending on your situation, this could be a good thing. You get Zeke back for Washington week 14.
With Zeke, even now he's been playing. What's the difference between the Dallas Cowboys running backs and the Denver Broncos running backs?
Yeah, not a whole lot. It's
so if you're going to be that,
it's a split.
You know what the difference is I was going to say, but the difference is Zeke's highest
name
Broncos Pollard. So they're all valuable. They're all inside the top 25-ish to 30, depending on your league scoring. But Zeke is the top. Then you have both Broncos. So even if it comes back, my point being, is even if Zeke comes back to a bigger share and it's just the Broncos aren't a bad thing, as we just saw yesterday. It's not a bad thing. You still have 2 RB2s. You could start both of them conceivably. And, you have the hope of a potential top 10 performance. So if your trade deadline hasn't passed, that's what I'm doing. And you're a playoff contender, and you're already securely I'm not saying playoff contender and you might lose and get knocked out. I'm saying if you're already in there, you're second, third place, first place, obviously, go get Zeke if your trade deadline hasn't passed, because somebody's panicking. Somebody's worried that they're going to not make the playoffs because he's got the 1 week off. So that's what I'm doing. Real quick, you mentioned Waller. That's not, that's a side there. Is there anything on this offense really outside of Josh Jacobs at this point? Because Deshaun Jackson had the game. Brian Edwards hasn't really done much the past couple weeks. Hunter Renfrow is I should say Josh Jacobs and Hunter Renfrow.
I still like Renfrow.
Really?
I still like Renfrow. I suppose if you need a tight end, just go back to Foster Moreau when he played against the Eagles. I think he played over 90% of the snaps.
Just go start him?
Yeah, 6 targets, 6 grabs, 6 yards, and a touchdown. Washington this week, KC coming. So if it's a 2 to 3 week thing, that could be okay.
It wasn't 90%, Chris.
100?
It was 100% of the offense snaps.
I thought it could have been. I just didn't want to I knew that it was at least 90. But yeah, thanks for backing that up. 100%. That's huge, right, for a tight end.
Yep.
And a good one, too. I like him. I think he's a pretty good tight end. I think if he was on another team, we'd be talking about him as every other tight end, I guess. Top 15 with upside. He'd be top 10 if he scored a touchdown. But he does have 3 TDs on the season.
Hey, remember when tight ends were deep this year? Remember when people were having that conversation?
Yeah.
How did Tyler Higbee
Your boy
do
Pat
this week?
Freiermuth had a touch. Higbee is he's a
Freiermuth. Get it right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Touchdown at the end. Took a big shot too. That was a nice catch. Man, he's made some really nice catches. What's that?
Your boy Dallas Goddard got a wonderful .5, 1 catch for 0 yards. Thanks for that. Let's talk about your Eagles real quick. And let's talk about let's be honest, Chris. We have a lot of these.
Let's talk about them.
No. But I'll say, look, just a couple weeks ago, we were throwing out the Bills game. We could throw out games. How many teams have ever gone undefeated? Boom, there. I mean, that's the point. How many teams have ever not had an off week? These things happen. The Giants. How many times have I said to you on this show, the Giants' secondary and pass defense deserves respect? Do they give up a lot of catches and yards resultingly? Yes, but they keep everything in front of them. They are a very tough secondary, and we just saw that. Jalen Hurts forced a lot of things. And to Jalen Hurts, apologies for him is it wasn't all on him. There was definitely that one interception was 100% his fault. Second one, you might debate. The third, probably not. And the winning potential touchdown, or at least he would have been at the 1 for another play to potentially win that game. Jalen Reagor, for 2 of those incompletes that day, were 100% on him. So it sounds like I'm making a ton of apologies for Jalen Hurts. I'm just saying it's an off game. He has deficiencies, just like who people are making apologies for, including himself, Lamar Jackson. There's not a big difference between Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, but are we throwing away? Let's put it this way: are we throwing away both of their performances, or do you think we need to worry a little bit about Jalen Hurts?
No, I think you could throw it away. Let's remember too. There's a couple things. I mean, he's not a rookie, but that was his 16th start. Heading into this week, all the rookie quarterbacks and the sophomore quarterbacks, he had the best touchdown to interception ratio. Think about that for a second. And Herbert is a guy who threw a couple picks yesterday too. So not anymore. This is a guy that, for the most part, has taken care of the football, but a lot of it was on him. You're right. He forced it. I thought both picks. I thought the first pick, that throw was completely on him. The second one at the end, that's a bonehead play, right? It really is. You're going for it at the end. Just throw it away. He forced it into Davonte Smith. There was 3 dudes around him. He should have just threw that away. You take the field goal, and at that point, it's is it a tie game at half, or maybe the Giants had scored a touchdown? Anyways, it's still a 1-score game, but you don't get shut out. So I think a lot of it was on Hurts, just forcing the balls. I think he'll learn from that. I think they should have just continued to run the ball. You saw in the second half they ran the ball with success. Is something that they've done over the past few weeks, was running the football. They got away from that in the first half. Yeah, and they ran the ball really well. Hurts, Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders left the game, came back, and messed up his aim. But is this just more frustration going forward? Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, 50-50 split, even with no Jordan Howard. And then Jordan Howard can come back and muck this all up again.
Yeah, you figure the game plan against the Jets is probably going to be much of the same, where they're just running with all these guys. I think you got to view Miles Sanders as just like a flex play. Upside to be an RB2, high-end RB2, but not 100%. Boston Scott runs hard. He runs well. And then you got Jalen Hurts too. So, credit to both. Giants defense played phenomenal, like you said. I thought Eagles defense played pretty good as well. Some flashes from Golladay, which was nice to see. Still don't know if you trust the guy, but just offense all around from both sides. Stinkers across the board.
Sterling Shepard, it's not even him so much him. It's Daniel Jones. As soon as Sterling Shepard or Kadarius Toney come back, or both, Galladay's done, and that wasn't even that great of a game. And Saquon Barkley came out healthy, quiet game for him again, but the touches are there. He's actually being hampered by this offense. Speaking of offense, Tennessee Titans. What? That's all I have to. What? And they lost. They ran for 8,000 yards and lost.
I know. Crazy.
And there was
crazy.
Dontrell Hilliard and Deonta Foreman both ran for over 100 yards. Laughing aside, Chris. All right, what are we taking away from this game with Deonta Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard? I mean, are they the new Browns? Are they the new Broncos? Are they seriously? What can we seriously take away from this?
And they both fumbled too. Foreman had a heck of a run where he fumbled the ball. I don't know. I like Hilliard. I like him. I ranked him ahead of Foreman because I thought that the Titans would be playing from behind, and they did. And it was surprising that he only had, what do you have, one catch? He had one catch, two targets, just two targets,
I think that's
one
how
grab for 2
play,
yards.
Is that you play Hilliard for expecting them to be behind, which you would expect most weeks, but
but he ran the ball really well, and you saw an open space. He's pretty quick, man. He's pretty fast. I don't know. Clearly their game plan was to just run the rock, right? I mean, nobody else. Nick Westbrook-Akini had 2 catches. Cody Hollister. What? What did I call?
I said it's Akina. You said Akini. I was giving you a hard time.
I think it's Akina. Yeah, Akina. Okay, Nick Westbrook-Akina.
Yeah.
I think it's
Akina.
I think it's Akina.
No,
Go
it's
ahead.
not. It's Akina. 100%.
Okay.
No, I looked it up.
Okay.
The very first week. I looked it up while I was doing Pat's show.
I remember looking it up too, but I probably just butchered it here. I clearly did.
But and you're on cold medicine, so I'll let you. So they get the Jaguars.
But clearly,
on the bye.
this team, yes, that's what I was going to. This team is going to run the football because they don't have any pass catchers, right? I mean, AJ's on IR now, Julio's on IR, so they're just going to continue to run the football. I still would rank, even though Foreman had more carries. I still probably would rank. Yeah, I still probably would rank Hilliard ahead of him. But I mean, both these guys flex plays.
All right, couple more here. Another bad game situation. Not another bad game for this player because it really hasn't been. But Najee Harris against Cincinnati. Is this just things got out of control too fast, and it's just kind of what happens? That's, as you could tell, that's where I'm going with it. But I expected more from the passing game after we saw him catch 13 balls earlier this year. I just think it's another one. You kind of chalk it up, move on, bad week.
Yeah, I think so. Chalk it up, move on, bad week. Yeah, it's I don't know really what else to say, but that.
Okay, then let's talk about somebody who I've been calling the most underrated running back in all of football this year, week and out, and that's Joe Mixon, because everybody's here's what happened
Mixon's
with Joe
the
Mixon.
man.
We got fatigued. We got, like I say, we as in the fantasy community got fatigued because we saw what Joe Mixon could be. We wanted him to be more, and he was always a fringe RB1. He never really got past that point, even on a points-per-game basis. And then he missed time with injuries, and then even when he's doing it earlier this year, people were just like, yeah, but it's Joe Mixon. And we got fatigued. That's really what happened. We got fatigued, and that's why I was like, dude, he's underrated. He needs to be in the conversation with the top 5 or 6. And honestly, at that time, he was better than Zeke, and he's better than Zeke right now. He's better than Barkley right now.
Oh, yeah.
So, Joe Mixon, but here's what I wanted to ask you about this one. Higgins, huge game for everybody that was concerned about T. Higgins. Jamar Chase, his first really bad game. And he wait into this one. Are we just tossing out this entire Bengals-Steelers game as just like, hey, these things happen?
I don't know. I think there's a couple of things. Like, one, I think, obviously the Steelers are trash, right? I mean, they're garbage. Big Ben's brutal. The offensive line is brutal. So that's part of it with Najee Harris. And then the Bengals, this is kind of this is new, right? If you're a Cincinnati fan, you're used to getting smashed by Baltimore, used to getting smashed by Pittsburgh. You've beaten both teams so far. You're in a playoff spot. Division's probably not up for grabs, but you got a heck of a quarterback in Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase is a winner. T. Higgins is great. And Joe Mixon, I mean, he's got 3 straight games with double-digit touchdowns. He's got 11 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he's averaging a touchdown per game since week 4. He's been he's been phenomenal. Actually, he's averaging a touchdown per game on the season, really, because he's just like through week 12 and he's got 11 rushing touchdowns. So he's been really great. I think the conversation moving forward, like, where do you rank this guy next year? Like, where is he next year in your rankings on this good Cincinnati team? Joe Mixon, like, where does he belong in rankings next year? I know we talked last week about top running backs, but I mean, you mentioned Zeke. Mixon clearly ahead of Zeke. Man, I may even think about Mixon ahead of Barkley, Saquon, just because of the offense and how it's going to run.
Well, the one thing we do know is, fortunately, Saquon Barkley doesn't have Jason Garrett, probably won't have Freddie Kitchens, probably won't have Daniel Jones, probably won't have, so they got a lot of things that could break right for Saquon Barkley next year and get the hell away from all this situation. But how about another bad case of games yesterday and Cam Newton? We saw the bad Cam yesterday. We saw him in the Patriots, Cam Newton, yesterday. Somewhat saved his day with the rushing touchdown, but it was gross, and by the time they were getting blown out in the fourth quarter, got benched for P.J. Walker. Cam Newton, this is the only question I have for you. If you were using him as a streamer, would you still use him as a streamer? Because really what it comes down to is the only people that care, one quarterback leagues, Carolina to check the schedule, looking ahead. Carolina is home.
They're going to bye here this week.
Oh, they're
and
a
then they got
bye.
Atlanta.
I was going to say, where can I find them? You know what? That makes it a better question, Chris. Would you drop Cam Newton because he's on a bye and not even waste your time waiting through the bye for Cam Newton? You
know how I feel about Cam. Like he got you a good week in week 11. If he gets you a rushing touchdown, you're good to go. I just don't think he's a good quarterback. So no, if week 14 stream against the Falcons, that's it. But yeah, I drop him, move on.
Well, I mean, you might not get him back if you drop him to wait for week
just drop him then. It's not a big deal.
Okay. And week 14 might be your playoff life is hinging, and then
it could be. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who's on bye week 14? That's another question for another day, maybe. But if you're looking ahead, you just have to look at it your week 14, right? That's what you got to look at.
Stupid week 14 buys. Good grief.
I know. I think it's pretty significant. I got to hear it's. Oh,
it is. It's Philly, Indianapolis, Miami, and New England. So there you go.
So, I mean, you could have Hurts. Yeah, you could have Hurts, and you trade one rushing quarterback for another.
At least, for the quarterbacks, at least I was thinking more fantasy overall. But yeah, the quarterbacks, that's not too bad to deal with for quarterbacks. So Miami running backs, Miami running backs. Well, is it just Gaskin? Because they had Duke Johnson, Philip Lindsay, a multitude of options. Savon Ahmed, after being inactive last week, was active this week, got touches. I don't think Duke Johnson even got a touch. They were up most of that game, so, passing it, whatever. Was that enough? Similar to the 49ers, Chris. Was that enough in Gaskin's use in that game to say, all right, now Gaskin's okay?
I think so, yeah. I mean, Tino knows this when we talked on Mean Streets a few weeks ago. Gaskin was one of the most dropped running backs, and he said, I don't know if we drop him. I know he hasn't been great, but do you drop a capable running back knowing what he did last year? If anything happened, and then all of a sudden Malcolm Brown went on IR. This is a guy who's had at least 12 carries in 6 straight games. His rushing attempt prop was at 12.5 yesterday. That's one we hit. I was surprised to see Lindsey get as much work. Was that, in your opinion, just the fact that they were up so big in that game and that they gave him those carries? I mean, his first game getting that kind of work. I mean, 12 carries, 42 yards. I mean, it's not great numbers. I mean, Ahmed got 5 carries as well. I think that was just, listen, we're up double-digit scores here. Cam can't do anything. Yeah. We're rolling here in this game. Gaskin does seem like the guy. I mean, the week before he had 23 carries. I don't know how many touchdowns he's going to get for you. But the Giants this week, the Jets after the bye, I mean, that's not bad, man.
But I think it's touchdown reliant, and that's really what my little hesitation is.
He's not going to score a lot of
12. Well, because you said 12 for 42. Look at his line. 16 for 49. Another kind of performance. Like,
not great.
He's you know what, honestly? He's the better version of Rex Burkhead, honestly. Because the offense will get him touchdown opportunities, and he's not going to average 2.2 yards per carry. He'll be 3.2 yards per carry, but touchdown without everything. So what do we got? 1, 2, 5 more games. We got a rapid fire through in 5 minutes. We get 1 minute each for the last 5 games. Oh, I forgot. Reminder, everybody, because this is the last week. 3 more days. Thumbs up entry. Comment on the videos on YouTube. You have to do a comment afterwards because they don't show up during this is comment afterwards. Although you're going to be screenshotting this and sending it to me. Subscribe, thumbs up, what is this? Thumbs up, comment, subscribe, 5 stars on iTunes and a review on iTunes. Those all give you multiple levels of multiple entries. It's actually, I changed it, Chris. It's not a $100 and a $50 gift card because I saw some people talking about GameStop not available. We're worldwide, man. So what I did is it's now 3 winners, $50 gift cards each. A $50 PlayStation gift card, a $50 Nintendo gift card, and a $50 Xbox gift card. So that's what I did.
Nice.
So there you go.
Very nice.
That's and if you want to screenshot when the entries are over on Wednesday to let me know if you only have one of those systems, then I'll put you in like a specific draw pool, like when I pull the lottery type of thing. So Tennessee, New England. I forgot to ask you about this. Kendrick Bourne. Are we doing Kendrick Bourne? Is this the thing? Is Kendrick Bourne a thing?
Might be.
No, he's not. That's the answer.
To score touchdowns.
It's going to be Nelson Aguilar next week. He's a wide receiver 4. Jokes aside, I think he's a wide receiver 4.
They all are. Everybody in New England, even Jacoby, in my opinion, is a 4 as well.
Jacoby is the safe floor wide receiver 4. Bourne is the highest upside. Nelson Aguilar is the wide receiver 4 who shows up every 4th week. How about that?
Yeah.
With Fournette. Wonderful innovation there, Gronkowski. Thank you for that. Cordero Patterson.
Man.
Holy hell, buddy. I did not expect that. There was a lot of reports out there saying he wasn't going to be 100% for that game, even coming back. Runs for over 100 yards. Congratulations, Cordero Patterson, but that's not who I want to talk about, Chris. If you want to stream tight ends, do you drop Kyle Pitts? Is Kyle Pitts drop? Take the name off the jersey is one of the most common things I say on our shows. You know that, Chris. Take the name off the jersey. Do we care about Kyle Pitts?
Not really, right? I wouldn't drop him. We've been talking about this for weeks, Jake, to sell high on this guy because of the name, right? We gave on this show at least 5 tight ends to stream. Air Fryermuth was one of them. We gave a bunch of them. We gave a bunch of tight ends to stream to flip this guy. To flip this guy for we talked about how you could get probably 2 pieces. 2 pieces for him. Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't be rolling him out there.
Who
this
vastly
offense
outperformed
stinks.
Kyle Pitts this week? Cole Kmet. It's just that's the so I'm with you too as you trade deadline pass. You don't want to just drop him for somebody else to go grab him because he is. But that's the point. He is a streaming tight end. That's what he is.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Foster Moreau had a better week than him this week than Kyle Pitts.
If there is no Darren Waller, check it right now. Foster Moreau will be ahead of Kyle Pitts in my rankings. Mark it down and be ready for it, and you can check me, and it'll be there. On the Jaguar side of it, I jokingly said this, Chris, last week. I jokingly said it, and it happened. I said, get ready for Laquan Treadwell and Tavon Austin to be things. And I said, because Tavon Austin steps into the Jamal Agnew role, and Treadwell is playing outside, and there are things. Now, granted, it was Laviska Shenault's best game.
It was.
But you're not messing around with any Laviska Shenault included, or would you at least take a flyer and put it this way: Kendrick Bourne or Laviska Shenault?
I'd probably just take Bourne and just hope that he scores a touchdown because Mac Jones is a baller. Nothing against Trevor Lawrence, but man, I'm so sick of watching Jags games as somebody who has a lot of Robinson, and he was great yesterday, Robinson. But I can't the Jags, watching the Jags this season has been, I feel like I'm a fan because I've watched a lot of them because I have a lot of Robinson. I got a lot of Marvin Jones. This team is just, they're atrocious, man. It'd be one and done for Urban Meyer. I'd get him out of there, bring somebody else in and clean house.
He is going to. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Nice Guy.
That's
I took
nice.
a TD prop on Tavon Austin because I said that.
Wow,
I wasn't expecting a touchdown.
Good.
Somebody thanked me for Kendrick Bourne as a sleeper play, but I was like, I wasn't expecting 2. I appreciate it for the other. Chargers, Broncos, Chargers question mark. This is another one. Eckler saved this day with a touchdown. Mike Williams quiet. Justin Herbert off game. The inconsistency.
Herbert's had a couple off games over the past few weeks, man.
You know how I feel about Herbert. So then let's talk about the Denver passing game, which was abysmal, beyond abysmal. Here's how I'm going to say it. Noah Fant included, who is alongside Kyle. I would drop Noah Fant. You know this. I said drop Noah Fant weeks ago. By the way, real quick, I just realized the timestamp here. We are going to finish these last 2 games for everybody watching on YouTube and listening to our podcast. If you're in Canada, goodbye. Have a good one.
See you
Chris
later.
loves you. Hopefully you're not around Chris because
you.
He's going to get you infected up there in Canada. I was just kidding. All right. So real quick as we finish these last 3 games and get the hell out of here. Denver passing game. Jerry Jeudy. Everybody, Cortland Sutton included. Don't care what the contract is. You're dropping Sutton at this point, correct?
Yeah, you can't roll him out. You can't roll him out. Yeah, he's outside the top 60. Yeah, every game that Jeudy plays with him, he's like a wide receiver outside the top 60 at wide out. Yeah. No chance.
All right.
They want to run the ball, too. Those guys are never going to be great until they get a new quarterback. Let's be honest.
Or that's true. Or an offense that plays a little faster. But you know what? Or a worse defense that, the defense isn't lights out like it was years ago.
It's not
but,
bad, though.
Higher paced offense, just, more opportunities. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
Is Odell Beckham back?
Man, it was a nice catch, but clearly in a lot of pain after that, man. He could hardly walk with the back injury, but sure, is he back? Is Matthew Stafford back? Because as soon as Matthew Stafford's back, then maybe I can feel a little bit better about OBJ. He's got a pick six in 3 straight games now. I know that was Lambeau, and it's tough to play at Lambeau, but man, maybe Jake, you hear the reports about his back, like chronic back issues. Clearly, Stafford's he's been hurt for the past few years. He's not playing like he's 100%.
Matthew Stafford was like what? Shoulder, knee, back,
shoulder,
elbow,
knee, back,
like,
ankle.
like
Yeah. Oh my God.
Was that head, ankles, knees, and head, shoulders, knees, and head, ankles, knees, and toes, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, or whatever it was. Yeah.
Look at this
All
report
right,
from.
The Mike McCarthy. We'll have to see. We'll
Ooh.
talk. Yeah, we'll talk about that on the waiver show tomorrow.
That's a Thursday night. That's a Thursday game, isn't it? It is too.
Yeah, I know.
It's a quick
A
turnaround.
lot of situations to watch out for. I'm trying to finish up the show, Chris. Get off your drugs. So I was gonna say Odell Beckham might be glossing over Van Jefferson being the real story here. Is Van Jefferson taking Robert Woods' place as a wide receiver too?
Yeah, big fan of Van Jefferson. I'm a huge fan of his. I was waiting for the breakout, and even when they got OBJ, I wasn't convinced that it would be over for Van Jefferson. Man, he has a lot of bad drops, though. He really does. He's had a lot of bad drops this season. He's still young. But, yeah, the deep threat guy, too, in this offense, I think you want a piece of. I probably, honestly, I maybe trust him more than OBJ. He's healthy right now.
Oh, I do, too.
Knows the system.
Not too. I legitimately do. I don't know if you heard Barkley dreaming and barking. I was trying to console her. She's dreaming over here.
Oh, I do now.
AJ, yeah. AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, something to monitor. They're on their bye, so Green Bay, so we could just gloss past that and finish up with Cleveland and Baltimore. She's dreaming the hell out of this. This is why you tune in for the rest of the show. Is Landry back, or is this just 1 week? Because there was zero run game. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, double. Oh, it was disgusting. So are we pretty much waiting to Jarvis Landry's bounce back game?
Not a ton. I think it was just matchup, right? You can't run on Baltimore. Landry's had a couple monster games. I wish I had them off the top of my head. There's one, I think, last year, the year before, we had topped 100 yards against Baltimore. So maybe it's just something about the Ravens. But a bye this week, and then guess what? The Ravens again. So I don't know. Maybe he'll show up again for you week 14. But I think it was just, you know what? We can't run on Baltimore. We're going to throw the football a little bit. But Cleveland's offense it's pretty bad, man. They haven't scored more than 13 points since week 9. They've been pretty brutal offensively.
So last one before we get out of here, and this is for Jiggles. Yes, this is for Nick Chubb. There you go, because it was requested, the poop emoji, as Barkley continues to dream away over here. We get out of here on this. Speaking of the fun being done, as the show is this fun is being done, follow Chris Meaney at Chris Meaney. FTN, the Black Friday special, the Athletic Black Friday special, a year for $12. Hopefully Chris gets better and healthy. Thanks again for the well wishes. Ha ha. Mets fans, latest report, by the way, the Mets are re-engaged with Max Scherzer. This is good. I just love this. This is going to blow up in their faces. This is so ridiculous. Anyway, as we get out of here, this is the simple question on the Ravens side of things. It's not Lamar Jackson. It's not Marquise Brown. It's not the backfield, because the backfield has kind of cleared itself up with Devonta Freeman. The one question is the Rashad Bateman fun done?
No, but was it really ever that fun? I mean, there was a couple moments where we're excited about a nice young toy. Yeah, I still view him that way, right? I still, this is a team that wants to run the football. I still think Andrews is the one, and Brown and him, I think it'll kind of offset here and there. They would battle, I think, for 1B. Would you agree with that? Do you think Andrews is still the one?
Oh, 100%. That was always my biggest concern here, is that'd be wide receiver 4 at best. But at best, hopefully you're back tomorrow. We'll talk about some of these situations like Green Bay and other waivers with Lauren on the waiver show. That's 11 a.m. Get your entries saved to send over and continue to laugh at all the Mets crazy fans that are going to be banging their heads against the wall. I love sitting.
I hope you get a good birthday gift today. But I hope you get a good birthday gift. Scherzer, 4 or 5 year deal. He can pitch at least mid-40s.
My birthday gift would be no Scherzer. And it'd be do smart depth, because having 18 injured pitchers and expecting them to stay healthy for a year is insanity. Just like trying to count on anybody in the Houston backfield. We will see you tomorrow.